Welcome to Foundry Essentials. This week's Foundry Essentials addresses a very popular list of questions. First up is a quick tutorial on how to fight alongside an enemy. The key to a lot of these type of effects is recostuming. Let's look at that now. Let's look at a space map. We want our captain and a Klingon friend to fight off a Romulan attacker. Klingon mobs will fight Romulan mobs by design, but will also fight Federation mobs. The only way to make this work is to redress a Federation mob as a Klingon mob. This is a very simple step, but it comes with a caveat. You can dress a Fed ship up as a Klingon ship, but you can't change the standard weaponry. So these ships, no matter what their costume, will always fire the weapons of the original faction, in this case, phasers and photon torpedoes. The same is also true with ground maps. If you dress a Davidian as a spider, it still acts like a Davidian. So if this is something that you're willing to live with, let's continue. I already placed the Romulan enemy on the map. Now let's place our Klingon friends. You have to remember to pay attention to an enemy's description because they spawn according to number of players and not by rank. If you are authoring a mission for solo players, the minimum amount of ships will spawn. The more players, the higher the number of ships in the selected class of mob. For this example, we're going to use a Federation battleship. Only one will spawn for a solo player, but we'll relocate the rest of the mob in case up to 5 people want to play. Keep in mind that if the story calls for 1 battleship, it won't make sense if 3 show up. Let's place the Klingon ally on the map. In reality, it's a Fed battleship. Highlighting the mob in our asset list on the left reveals the actors within the mob, along with their individual settings. These are basically their names and costumes. Mob behavior cannot be individually assigned. All actors within a mob will behave the same way, as those traits can only be assigned in the general settings. And although this rule is not 100% reliable, it's usually the actor with the lowest number within a mob that spawns first, and that is for space mobs. For ground mobs, the lowest number is usually the higher ranking NPC, that is, say, the captain or commander, etc., depending on the mob chosen. Now let's choose the costume for our Klingon friend. Because it's a battleship, we'll use the Vorcha class for this tutorial. Now to name him. The name that will appear in the mission is in the contact field. So that's the field we must write the name into. I'll just type in Klingon Buddy. Okay, that should do it. Now just one more thing. I'm going to remove the higher numbered actors to a section of the map where the player will not see them. Removing just the actor you want to use will not work because you need the mob proximity marker to make sure your friend attacks accordingly. Let's see how that works. Okay, that looks good to me. Now let's try the same thing on the ground with Remans as the enemy, with some Klingon friends. All right, that seems to work great too. And the Klingons seem to be having a lot of fun. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this week's edition of Foundry Essentials.